photoelectric effect simulation that we have downloaded here. So students will be expected to explore this particular simulator or simulation rather. And in this simulation, by default, the intensity is initially 0 and the wavelength of light is 400 nanometers. And students are expected to check what happens if they increase the intensity. There, light is ejected, photoelectrons are ejected rather. And there, examine what happens. Look at the current value. Let's turn that to 0. The current is 0. And then let's examine what happens if the wavelength is longer. And as we're familiar, if the wavelength is long, or the wavelength is long, the energy is low and the frequency is also low. So let's increase the intensity again and let's check what happens. No photoelectrons are ejected. The current is 0. Now, let's increase the let's decrease the wavelength, increasing the energy and the frequency. Let's increase the intensity as well. There, so for the wavelength 579 nanometers, at 100% intensity, there is still no current. Let's now check as to which wavelength will photoelectrons be ejected there. So it is at about 500 nanometers that you get to see, 500 plus, 520 nanometers that you get to see photoelectrons are ejected. So in this particular exploration, students will be able to generalize that it's not the intensity that will help produce the photoelectrons. What's important is a combination of intensity and the wavelength. So the more important factor is the wavelength. That is, the wavelength should meet a particular minimum. And students are expected to explore more about this simulation. The simulation in a while will showcase or will show you the different conditions that you can consider. Say here is a laboratory activity there. Some of the factors that you can consider in this particular simulation are as follows. There, so you can have this as you can change the object or the projectile that you can throw, say a pumpkin, or initially that's a cannonball. And then the mass can be varied. You can move this tab here and set it at default, a certain value, say any value, 16.6 kilograms. And then you can also change the diameter of the object. You can also change the gravity, but initially it's set at default at 9.81 meters per second squared. You can also add air resistance and consider what happens if there is air resistance. And in this simulation, your challenge is to hit that bullseye. And let's see. You can change, by the way, another one is change the angle and the initial speed of the projectile. Let's check it out here. And you can press this icon here to release the projectile. Oops, I was not able to hit it. I'll increase the angle and check it out again. Oh, yay! Almost. And decrease it a little. and release it again for the third time and check if it hits. Yaps, almost. And you can include air resistance and see what happens. There, it becomes lesser. Because of air resistance, I was able to hit the bullseye. You can again consider others, other projectile here, projectiles, and see, oops, there, that shell, or let's consider a piano. There. Whoa. There. Or change some other variables that you can see in this presentation. Already downloaded the simulation, and we can now explore the different features of this simulation and see what happens with certain situations that we can set. Okay, we can initially set this by default as 0. Here the person is at 0. Next, you see that there are barriers right and left here, which you can remove. We can add and remove there. And again, you see that this is this reflects the graph of the motion of the person in terms of position, velocity, and acceleration. If all three variables are 0 and you press start or play, there. As time goes by, nothing happens with the person, but you can see that there is a horizontal line graph for position versus time, velocity versus time, and acceleration versus time. Now take note as well that the x-axis represents the time in seconds. Now you can clear your data here and set certain values. Say you can set that the person be there at 10 meters, and you know that there is a change in the graph. Next, you can set it back to 0 again and change the velocity to be 10 meters per second and see what happens to all three graphs. Next, you can set this to be 0 and the position to be 0 and the acceleration at 1 meter per second squared, and check what happens to the graph, to the three graphs actually there. Wow. There. You can even ask your students to explore further what this simulation can do. You can ask them to explore further what happens with some more situations that they can think of and explore the simulation some more.